you a silent impact story.
This is a beautiful. This is another gem.
Well, and this is what I like, because to me, this is why I wrote the book, because I'm hoping that people start, we all need to realize that we're only on this earth for so long. Try to do something good, make an impact. And anyway, so the lady said, I'm the general manager of a Wendy's, and every day an elderly gentleman would pull up through the drive-through window for breakfast. And he was always waited on by the same lady, and a lady who had children at home. And once she sent them off to school, she came and served breakfast through the drive-through window. And she was a great customer service gal with a big smile on her face and always taking care of the customers. And anyway, after several months, one day, the older gentleman pulled his car and parked and walked in the store. And he asked the general manager if he could see the lady who had been serving him breakfast every morning for the last several months. Mm-hmm. And she came out, and he gave her a big hug, and he said, I just wanted to thank you. I won't be coming around here as often anymore. You see, every morning I was on my way to the hospital to visit my wife. She passed away last night. Before she died, she lived her life like you. Oh. She was a smiling, happy person. Everybody she met left her feeling better about themselves. You reminded me of my wife before she got sick. I just wanted to thank you. It's called the second thank you when you go back and thank somebody for a big moment they had in their life. It is. This lady had no idea what she meant to this man at a very, very tough time in his life.
Oh, man.
Isn't that a great story? And I got more and more of those coming up, and it's great. It's going to be my next book. I'm already starting to think about my next book.
I figured you already were heading to the printers with it already, because this is going to open up really an avalanche of storytelling. This is great. This book deserves to do well. The anecdotes you've shared with us from your book are just typical of the nuggets you've got in here. They are just beautiful, Joe. We're going to take a break here. I want to come back. You do include, and you should include, your struggle with cancer. We want to talk about that, how you have faced up to it, how you've dealt with it. Plus, I want to talk about sports, covering sports and all that stuff. Look at the hour fly, Joe. Isn't that crazy, huh? This ain't eyewitness news, huh? It's we got an hour here to play with, but it's going fast. We'll take a break. Back with Joe Schmidt right after this.
At Jaime's Haberdashery, men never sacrifice fashion for weather. So no matter how cold it gets, you can still spot a Jaime's man by his impeccable taste and the confidence that only comes from a hot lather shave. Jaime's Haberdashery helps men look and feel their best with high-quality clothing cut and styled just for them. Create a look that's uniquely yours with tailored suits, overcoats, hats, and accessories that make winter blush. And at prices that won't melt your wallet. Jaime's Haberdashery, 400 St. Peter Street in downtown St. Paul. Online at Jaime's.com.
At the Stan Turner Show, we love good stories, and there's no better place to find them than Valley Bookseller in downtown Stillwater. Valley Bookseller is an independent bookstore with knowledgeable and friendly staff who love books. Tell them what you like to read, and they'll make terrific recommendations just for you. Also, discover one of the finest children's collections in the entire Twin Cities. Valley Bookseller. Great books, great people. 217 North Main in Stillwater. Online at valleybookseller.com.
Best of Woodbury 2014. Best of Woodbury 2012. Best of Woodbury 2010. Best of Woodbury 2000.
Energy Pilates Fitness Yoga. Energizing lives. The staff at Energy Pilates has won multiple awards. 4 years as Woodbury Magazine's Best of Winners. 3 years as the Best of the Best Winners. Come to Energy Pilates. Leave feeling a little fitter, more energized, and of course, smiling. Energy Pilates Fitness Yoga. Energizing lives at energypilatesfitness.com.
Minnesota welcomes timeless producer, writer, and musician Peter Asher, June 3rd and 4th at the Dakota. Tickets are on sale now. You know the Grammy Award winner as part of the 60s English pop duo Peter and Gordon and their hits, A World Without Love, I Go to Pieces, and I Don't Want to See You Again. Peter Asher at the Dakota, June 3rd and 4th. Call the Dakota box office now for tickets, 612-332-5299, 612-332-5299, or go online at dakotacooks.com.
We're back with Joe Schmidt here from KSDP Channel 5, eyewitness sports, author of a fine new book, and that's not a cliche, it's true. It is a fine book. Silent Impact Stories of Influence Through Purpose, Persistence, and Passion. You've had a sampling from Joe already, what's in between the covers of this book. You're going to want to read it. It is inspiring, to be sure. Joe, we got to talk about you, because you do include yourself in this, and well, you should, because what you have done, how you have met your struggle with cancer is instructive and can help other people, too. Why don't you just say, you're a shower guy. You like to take long showers, don't you? And it wasn't so funny when, well, you weren't sure at first. You were there, doing the rub-a-dub-dub, and you noticed something on the chest area.
Yeah, I noticed I had a lump on my chest, and I went to my doctor right away, and he said, don't worry about it. It's a fatty deposit. I ended up going to 3 doctors who told me the same thing, so I just basically thought I was going to grow a third man boob the rest of my life. So, can I say that on KLBB?
Well, the kids will take it. Be careful. We have adults listening. You can say anything once on the air, Joe. Once.
Yeah, but long story short, I had a 2-day physical scheduled down at Mayo, and if your insurance does this for you, I strongly suggest it because they find parts of your body you didn't know you had.
Oh my God! Look at that.
Yeah, that was fun. You mean there's something there? Wow. Long story short, I was diagnosed with lymphoma, and it's a non-curable cancer that I will have the rest of my life. And initially, I was looking at 2.5 years of chemotherapy. And the doctor told me, he said, Joe, your cancer's slow-moving. If mentally you can live with the idea of having cancer, why don't we treat you in the fall? I was diagnosed in May of 2008. And I said, that's great. Why don't we? Because he said, you're going to get sick. We're going to have to knock you down a few notches. And your kids will be back in school, and they won't quite notice you as much. So I said, good, let's do that. So all of a sudden, I had 100 days to get ready for chemotherapy. So I decided to take the mental mind track that I was going to make the high school football team again. I hired a personal trainer because I know that chemo zaps your strength and zaps your energy. And for 100 days, I worked like a crazy man. I got myself in really good shape. I went back to the doctor, and the doctor did the test all over again. The doctor says, Joe, I don't know how to tell you this. We're not going to treat you right now. And it was at that moment that I realized it was one of the most crucial moments in my life because I was mad. I was upset. I had been so ready to get rid of this cancer that was in my body that good news sounded like bad news, and I didn't understand why. Now, 10 minutes later, I was doing cartwheels down the hallway of Mayo Clinic. But it was interesting how when you put your mind at something and you stay persistently positive in the eye of a lot of negativity. And I drew on stuff. I drew on, the Mike Beck story. I drew on, my dad had gone through this. I drew on a lot of things.
Did Dad have cancer?
My dad died of cancer, yeah. So I drew on a lot of things like this to remain strong mentally. Now, I know that cancer, my attitude and my approach wasn't going to cure my cancer, but I knew it didn't hurt. It certainly didn't hurt. So as it turned out, I did not get treated for 2 years. And 2 years later, all of a sudden, I had lumps all over my body. I knew it was time to go in. And in those 2 years, 2-year time period, the protocol that I was getting for my type of lymphoma went from 2.5 years, a combination of 5 drugs, to 2 drugs for 6 months. So that money that we donate to lymphoma and cancer and leukemia, it really, really works. 4 months after I started my chemotherapy, remission was my mission, and my mission was accomplished. And, now I'm so healthy, Stan, that they want me to donate my body to science while I'm still alive. Yes.
Not on this show.
But I'm always careful when I tell the story. But I'm talking, the main part of the story is trying to stay persistently positive. And the main part of the story is to make sure you look at life as a journey, and that you kind of make sure you're aware of the great things that happen during the journey. So many times we get caught up in the end result that we don't realize that the journey is where we learn about ourselves and about other people. And it was really a big moment in my life.
You can read about this in many, many more stories, really instructive, and how to meet challenges, how to overcome them, and how to feel good about yourself and the life you're living. Silent Impact, stories of influence through purpose, persistence, and passion. Just think Silent Impact by Joe Schmidt, S-C-H-M-I-T. You know the guy. You know what he looks like. Joe, get close to the microphone so people can see you.
There we go.
There you go. Good-looking guy with a big smile. I think of you, the mental image always is the smile, Joe, the nice guy. I like that.
Well, you know what, Stan, it's very interesting because I tell this to kids all the time. I swear I've made more mistakes on the air than any on-air person in Twin Cities history.
Gotcha beat.
I don't know. I'm willing to admit. But I got through them all. You smile.
You do.
You can get through a smile.
Be honest with the viewer.
Yeah.
They are your friends. Don't betray your friends. Just say, whoop, I screwed up. Okay, we'll talk about something. Let's talk about bloopers on the air, Joe.
Sure.
What are some of your favorites?
Oh, geez, I've had so many. Probably my best one of all time actually happened before I came to Minnesota. I was working in Green Bay, and I used to do a bowling show on Saturday morning. How's that sound? A live bowling show.
Joe Schmidt Bowling.
Okay, does that make sense?
Or Rubles or whatever.
Okay, so in the middle of the bowling match, I got a bloody nose. For whatever reason, my blood was thin, maybe from something I had done the night before.
Oh!
I was young.
Yeah. 5 or 6 or 8 beers. You never know. Mm-hmm.
Well, so anyway, I got so flustered, and I knew I couldn't stop the match. It was live on TV, and not only that, it was big-time competition. You know, there's probably $500 to the winner back then or something.
Wow.
So anyway, I got so flustered that I took a napkin, and I knew the camera shots. So whenever they went to the bowling lane, I put my head back, arched my head back, and pinched my nose and tried to stop my nose from bleeding. And then would put back from the mic so I didn't have the on the air. So anyway, I got so flustered, I got off rhythm. So every time there was a camera shot of me, you saw my head fly back and me put this big napkin up on my nose trying to stop the bloody nose. And this will go into the category of YouTube were around. My career would have ended the next day.
Marge, what's that crazy man doing on television there? Somebody must have punched him in the nose. Oh, great moments in broadcasting we'd all like to forget.
One more. I'll tell you. A Minnesota one.
Please.
A Minnesota one.
Okay.
Yeah, Gary Schulzenberg and I. Gary was my longtime producer. I know
last night.
he's a friend of yours. And anyway, we right after the Twins traded for Jeff Reardon. For whatever reason, we thought his nickname was the Exterminator. It was the Terminator. So we wrote this real long story about...
I missed it by that much.
We wrote this big, long story about... And we used all these great puns and how raid and all this. We were using every Exterminator line possible. You know, fly swatter, shell pest strip, you name it. We had the Google out on the Exterminator before we knew it. So we got done. We were so proud of the story, so proud, came back, and some guy calls up and says, Schmidt, he's the Terminator, you dumb. Blah, 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 blah. We look at each other and say, he's the Terminator, not the Exterminator.
What do you do, Joe? You laugh, huh?
Laughed it off, yeah.
All right. Joe, a lot of people are not laughing about public money, public dollars, taxpayer dollars, building great big sports palaces.
No.
Like the new Vikings thing, like the Twins field. What about that? We've had some of our political leaders say, nope, we're not going to put a dime of public money into this, and suddenly the public is footing a big part of the bill for the Viking Stadium. I think Ziggy's pretty well healed. The NFL is paying a lot of what he has to pony up, so he's not paying much at all. Yeah, we all like sports to one degree or another, but should we be subsidizing billionaires? What do you think?
Well,
I'm asking as a devil's advocate.
No, and I understand that. I'll start with Target Field. It was time for Target Field to be built, and however it got done, it's an asset to the community. And I think that the poll ads put in a pretty fair share there. I don't think if even the people who opposed Target Field back then, if they look at what it's done, what it means to this community, they would agree, you know what, that wasn't a bad deal. Now, the Viking Stadium might be a little bit different story because somehow they passed this thing without realizing that the Wolves are not going to be putting much money into this thing at all. By the time it's said and done, it's $1 billion stadium. The Wolves, yeah.
Wolves, yeah. Yep.
Because
both brothers. Yeah.
So it's supposed to be $500 million from each. Well, here's the scoop. The NFL has a loan, which they will dismiss for $150 million. They'll probably get $150 million in seating, in personal seat license. They'll get $150 million for naming rights, and they'll probably get another $50 million because now they can sell more suites and loge seats and all these things. So ultimately, they're doing a loan to themselves. And on top of that, the value of the franchise is probably going to go... they bought them for $600 million. It's now worth over $1 billion before this stadium is built. So this was not a good deal financially for Minnesota. Now, they're going to get the Super Bowl. They're going to get a Final Four. They may get a Big Ten championship or a national championship in college football. I think ultimately it'll be good for the city. But ultimately, Ziggy and the Wilfs cannot stand and say, boy, did we sacrifice a lot for the city. Because they didn't.
They didn't. You know who Jay Weiner is, don't you?
Yep, no, Jay real well.
Yep, well, he's now working for the U of M, but he wrote a book when he was with the Star Trib. He went all around the country and wrote about stadiums, and that they are not, in fact, an economic asset, as the myth goes, you know, including here. That, okay, building a stadium, you'll put people to work, but there are other projects that put people to work, too. So it's a myth that he found in his research, and it was thorough, that sports stadium, are a huge economic boon.